Hello friends, today we'll be discussing about a new topic of our cardiovascular agents, that is antiarrhythmic agents. Okay, now what is antiarrhythmic agent? So before going into in detail about the study of our drugs, antiarrhythmic agents, we'll study something about the arrhythmias. Okay, what is arrhythmias? Arrhythmia is nothing but when a heart deviates from the normal rhythm is called arrhythmias, means absence of a rhythm. When there is no rhythm, rhythm is not followed. Now, what is this rhythm? Rhythm means, see, from the we all very well aware that the speciality of the heart or the heart function is that it's rhythmicity, right? The heart is functioning in a rhythmic fashion throughout its existence, right? From the beginning, from the moment it's formed till the end, that is till the death, okay? And before birth till the death, the heart is functioning in a non-stop rhythmically. Rhythmically means it's functioning in a it's following a pattern continuously, means without non-stop, repeatedly following the same pattern like cyclically. Okay, so that is why that's something we call it as a rhythm. Okay, so heartbeat is also like that only. Our normal heartbeat is also like that only. A pattern is followed throughout in a repeated way, in a repeatedly without any break, continuously. Okay, so that is the rhythmicity of our heart. Now, anything when away from it, when this is not followed, okay, so then that condition is called as arrhythmias or cardiac arrhythmias. Okay, means irregular rhythms of our heartbeats is known as cardiac arrhythmias. Okay, now now rhythm we say. Okay, now what is this rhythm? Okay, how we tell that it is rhythm, normal rhythm, or normal, what is a normal cardiac rhythm? Okay, so when we tell that cardiac rhythm is normal, when it is satisfying some of the criteria. Okay, when the heart is satisfying some criteria, okay, then we can declare that that heart is functioning normally. Okay, that or the cardiac rhythm is normal. Okay, now what are these criteria? The first of all, the first criteria is the heart rate. Okay, that is the beats. The heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats per minute. Means when the heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats per minute, then it is a first criteria. Okay, the first criteria is that heart rate should be between 60 to 100 beats per minute. And the second criteria is that this heart rate, okay, this heartbeat, means the heartbeat should be originated from the SA node only. That is the second criteria. Okay, number of beats should be 60 to 100 per minute, and its origin should be only from SA node. Okay, now after originating the impulses, okay, after originating from the SA node, the impulses should pass through the normal conduction pathway. Okay, the impulses from the SA node, it should pass through the normal conduction pathway. When I say normal conduction pathway, means that is the impulses which we all know that the SA node, it is the pacemaker where the impulses are originated. From SA node, it has to move on to the atria and the atrioventricular node. From atrioventricular node, the current has to move to the bundle of his Purkinje fibers, and then it has to spread to the entire ventricular myocardial cells, thereby engulfing the entire heart. Okay, so that is the pattern. So that is the normal pathway. That is the route for the movement of this impulse. Okay, so that route only has to be followed. So that is the criteria number 3. All the cardiac impulses should be passed through these normal conduction pathway. And the next criteria is this impulses okay, which is it is passing in the normal conduction pathway only, means it is going in the same its own route only, but at the normal velocity. Okay, that is the speed of these impulses should also be normal. Okay, not only the route, even the speed should be normal. So when these four criteria are there, then we can declare that the heart is normal. Means there is no absence of arrhythmias. Okay, so that is, so these are then it is called as normal heart or absence of rhythm. Okay, now sorry, rhythm means normal cardiac rhythm. Okay, so when there is deviation in these criteria, then it is declared as absence of rhythm or arrhythmias. When there is any change in any of these, then it is nothing but coming away from the rhythm or absence of the rhythm or cardiac arrhythmias. Okay, so this is about the normal cardiac rhythm and the cardiac arrhythmias. Now, so this arrhythmias is of many types. We can classify it into different way on different bases, because four criteria are there. So the in what and all way it can get deviate. Okay, in what are the ways where this criteria can be disturbed? Uh, on those bases, we have different types of arrhythmias. Okay, now we'll see one by one. On the first one is, that is on the base of the heart rate. Okay, on the base of the heart rate, the cardiac arrhythmias is classified into two types. One is the tachycardia or tachyarrhythmia. Another one is the bradyarrhythmia. Now, what is this tachyarrhythmias and bradyarrhythmias? See, heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats per minute, we tell. Okay, so what if it is less than this or if it is more than this? So then it is called as arrhythmias. Okay, so if it is less than 60, if a heartbeat is less than 60, then it is called as bradyarrhythmias. Okay, and if the heartbeat is more than 100, then it is called as tachyarrhythmias. Okay, under the heart rate, on the basis of the heart rate, arrhythmias is of two types. One is bradyarrhythmias, where the heartbeat is less than 60 beats per minute, and another one is tachyarrhythmias or tachycardia, where the heartbeat is more than 100 beats per minute. Okay, now, okay, less than 60, okay, in up to what? Or more than 100 beats per minute means up to what is tachyarrhythmias? Means what are the various kinds of tachyarrhythmias? That is, this tachyarrhythmias can be further classified depending upon the, again, further beats. Okay, further number of beats. Okay, that is, when heart rate is more than 100 beats per minute, we call such type of cardiac arrhythmias as tachyarrhythmias. This is a general term, tachyarrhythmias. Okay, but if when the heart rate is between 100 to 150, means we tell 100 beats per minute. 100 means more than 100 beats. More than 100 beats means how much more? So that is important, right? So if a heartbeat is more than 100 and less than 150, then it is called as simple tachyarrhythmias. Okay, and the next is, if it is more than 150, more than 150, less than 250 beats per minute, then it is called as paroxysmal tachyarrhythmias. Okay, paroxysmal tachyarrhythmias means, paroxysmal means it's something which is suddenly acute, which is suddenly appearing and disappearing. Okay, so that is called as paroxysmal. That is why it is called as paroxysmal tachyarrhythmias. Okay, and then next is the flutter or atrial or ventricular flutter. Nothing but when the heartbeat is more than 250 to 300 beats per minute, then it is called as flutter. So if it is concerned to atria, then it is called as atrial flutter. If it is related to ventricle, then it is called as ventricular flutter. Okay, so that is the another type of tachyarrhythmias. And the next one is there, the most unfortunate one, that is the fibrillation. Fibrillation means where the heartbeat is more than 350 beats per minute. Okay, where the heart rate is more than 350 per minute. So at that time we call it as fibrillation. If it is atrial, then it is atrial fibrillation. If it is in the ventricle, then it is called as ventricular fibrillations. Okay, so this is about the tachycardia. Now coming to the bradycardia. Again, we know heartbeat less than 60 beats per minute means it is called as bradycardia. But less than 60 means how much less? Okay, so that is nothing but if it is less than 60, more than 40, it is called as um, mild bradycardia. More than 40, less than 40 up to 20, it is called as moderate bradycardia. Less than 20 beats per minute, then it is a most unfortunate case, that is the severe bradycardia. Okay. So this is based on the arrhythmias based on the heart rate. Okay. Now the next basis is on the basis of the main site where abnormal rhythm is generated. So our next criteria is what? First is the rate is 60 to 100 beats per minute. Okay. The second criteria is every beat should be originated from the SA node. Okay. So based on the where it is originated, okay, at which place of the heart, based on that cardiac arrhythmias has been, we can classify the cardiac arrhythmias. They are, first one is the sinus arrhythmias, means the any abnormal rhythm or cardiac arrhythmias which comes from the SA node is called as sinus arrhythmia. Okay, sinus arrhythmias is any abnormality of a SA node. Okay, then it is abnormality, because why I'm saying is SA node is a place where the means the normal it's a pacemaker where the impulse has to be originated. But any abnormal rhythm means abnormal arrhythmias is called arrhythmias on the SA node is called as sinus arrhythmias. Okay, next is the atrial arrhythmias, means the abnormal rhythm or the cardiac arrhythmias which are due to abnormal activity within the atrial myocardial tissue. Okay, abnormal activity due on the atrial myocardial tissue, then it is called as atrial arrhythmias. Okay, and next is the junctional arrhythmias or nodal arrhythmias. Okay, now as the name itself indicates, same like the previous one, that is where the abnormal rhythm or the cardiac arrhythmias related to AV node, nodal arrhythmias. So AV node are related to with junction between the atrium and the ventricle. AV node is there only, right, near the junction, right? So atrium and ventricular junction, then it is called as junctional arrhythmias. Okay, and the next one is the ventricular arrhythmias. So if there are abnormal rhythms or the cardiac rhythms originating due to abnormalities with the ventricles, okay, due to abnormalities in the ventricles, then it is called as we call them as ventricular arrhythmias. Okay, now another one term you should know, that is supraventricular arrhythmias. Okay, so what is this supraventricular arrhythmias? It's nothing but, see, ventricle is a very important part of the heart. Okay, it's where the contraction takes place. Okay, for the heart. Okay, now so that is why ventricle is very important, whereas the other three comparatively to the atria. Okay, so supraventricular arrhythmias means the arrhythmias of all the atrium related to atria, sinus arrhythmias, atrial arrhythmias, junctional arrhythmias, together it is called as supraventricular arrhythmias. Okay, sinus arrhythmias, atrial arrhythmias, and the junctional arrhythmias are also called as supraventricular arrhythmias because these arrhythmias are generated above the ventricles and above the ventricles, whatever arrhythmias are generated, so together they will be called as supraventricular arrhythmias. Okay, now that is about the various types of arrhythmias. Okay. Now coming to the mechanism. Mechanism of cardiac arrhythmias. Mechanism of cardiac arrhythmias. Now, there are various different mechanisms of cardiac arrhythmias. Under that will be the due to automaticity. Okay, something the arrhythmias due to automaticity. What is automaticity? It is defined as a property of any excitable tissue which can undergo depolarization spontaneously. Okay, which can undergo depolarization spontaneously. Okay, that process is called as automaticity. Anything which can undergo depolarization, that is the increase in the positive ions. Okay, upon increase in the positive charge. So that type of condition is called as automaticity. So now, if there are many types of arrhythmias mechanisms related to automaticity. That first one is the increased automaticity. Okay, increased automaticity means the SA node. Okay, we all know that SA node is a pacemaker because it has a tendency to undergo depolarization spontaneously. Okay, so that is there. Okay, fine. It is there. Okay, but sometimes what happens in the SA node, some cells have a leaky sodium channels. Okay, SA node. In SA node, the cells have a leaky sodium ion channels. Okay, so these cells, okay, the cells of this SA node, some cells, okay, it leaks the sodium ions outside. Okay, so at that time, what happens in the cell, the sodium ion concentration slightly increases. Okay, when we come to the action potential of cardiac cells, okay, so sodium ions increases. So this increase in the sodium ions, what happens? They are normally when the cells which is there in the resting membrane potential, okay, this resting membrane potential so leaks the sodium channels and the sodium ions enters into the cell. The resting membrane potential will not be in the rest. Okay, okay, from the resting membrane it will not be no more in the rest because it is getting the signal. More sodium ions are coming out. So this increase in sodium ions will take the resting membrane potential towards the threshold. Okay, and thereby the as usual action membrane potential takes up. So that is what normally happens. Okay, when the action potential is in the resting membrane stage, in this stage, okay, but at this time when the sodium ions are slightly leaked into the cell, so positivity inside this cell increases, positive charge increases. So what happens, it from the resting potential, okay, below 90, it goes up to the 80 minus 80, okay, below minus 900. So it goes up to the below minus 80, means up to above minus 80. Okay, so at that time what happens, it means that is a resting potential. So once it reaches the resting potential, depolarization takes place and the calcium ions get into the cells. The calcium channels opens, as we know, as we all saw in the our calcium channel blockers or the previous topics. The calcium channels opens and the calcium ions accumulates in the cells. So when the calcium ions accumulates, then that leads to depolarization. Then after depolarization, repolarization takes place. Okay, after calcium ion depolarization, then the opening of the potassium channels takes place. So when the potassium channel is open, potassium efflux is there. Okay, so potassium efflux. So in the potassium, this is the calcium channel, depolarization. After that, what happened? The potassium channel opens and the potassium channel starts to move out of the cell. So when the potassium is moving out, so here the positivity is decreased in the cell. Positive ions are decreased in the cell. So it means negativity is increasing. Okay, so it comes down. The repolarization takes place. It comes to the normal, it comes to the resting potential. Okay, so this depolarization and repolarization takes place. So this is the SA node. So the one simple example of this is usually when we take when there is a release of adrenaline, okay, uh, adrenaline or a noradrenaline, okay, what happens is it stimulates the SA node. Okay, when SA node is stimulated, in turn beta adrenergic receptor is stimulated. So immediately what happens, the calcium channels are opened up and leading to the moving of um, the potential towards the threshold value, and then means more rapidly, threshold potential is more rapidly, and there is a frequent production of action potential. And in this way, normal automaticity is enhanced after the action of adrenaline, that epinephrine on the SA node. That's what when our if adrenaline is released, that we call it as flight hormone, flight or fight hormones, right? When the heartbeat increases. Okay, so all of a sudden heartbeat increases. Why it increases? Adrenaline is rushed into the SA node to stimulate. Okay, so which in turn stimulates the beta adrenergic receptors, and that leads to the release of the calcium ions, and there's a continuous firing of impulses. And what happens? Which this calcium ions helps the cells to move the resting membrane potential towards the threshold potential more rapidly. Okay, and there is a frequent production of completely action potential, repeatedly production of action potential, and thereby our heartbeat increases. Okay, in this way, the normal automaticity is enhanced after the when there is a rush of adrenaline in the body, right? So that is the increase in automaticity. And the next mechanism of cardiac arrhythmia is the altered automaticity, or or nor altered normal automaticity. We can also call it as an abnormal automaticity. Okay, so here what happens is, as we all know, when when there is an impulse generated from the SA node, okay, the actually if you see in our heart, the it is not, the impulses are not is not the one which is produced from the SA node. It is we can generated from the SA node. Actually, the other cells also, means some specialized heart cells, not only the SA node, even the atrioventricular node or his Purkinje system, as well as some other cells in both atria as well as in the uh, uh, ventricles, have the property of pacemaker. Okay, pacemaker activity. It is not only the SA node, even the other some cells are in the heart has the pacemaker property. Okay, so that is the automaticity way which can generate the impulse. Okay, but under normal conditions, these SA nodal cells only have the fastest rate of firing. Okay, the firing is fast when the impulse is generated from the SA node normally, under normal condition. Okay, and whereas the other pacemaker cells fire, they also fire, but at the slow rates. This is normally happening. Okay, but means this firing of the SA node is overtaken, means it's high, very high compared to the other cells. Okay, so it means that the normal hierarchy is maintained. SA node is dominating in firing, so other impulses it is not, it's very slow. Okay, so it is not seen in the normal conditions. But under pathological conditions, that is under during ischemia, especially in the ischemic related problems, what happens is the abnormal automaticity occurs when other cells also starts firing spontaneously. Okay, usually which is under depressed condition, other cells whose firing is very slow rates, when in the abnormal in the pathological conditions, what happens, this abnormal automaticity occurs. Okay, from where? From the other cells, AV node or his Purkinje system or anywhere. So they also starts firing spontaneously, and this resulting in the premature heartbeats. Okay, so that is the another type of another mechanism of cardiac arrhythmias. There is one more mechanism is there related to automaticity, that is the triggered automaticity. Okay, triggered automaticity means here in during triggered activity, the heart cell contract twice. Although they have only been activated once, so they'll get activated once, but their contraction will be for twice. Okay, improper contraction, not completely contraction. So, what is that? Improper contraction will be occurring one after the other. Okay, so why this is happening is because of one condition called as after depolarization. Okay, so what is this after depolarization? That is membrane potential oscillation that occur during or immediately following a preceding action potential. Okay, means the action potential oscillation that is occurring immediately or during the one action potential only. Okay, so there are two types. One is the early after depolarization, another one is a delayed after depolarization. We'll see what is this. That is, see, this is the early after depolarization and this is the delayed after depolarization. The pink one is the normal action potential. Okay, the pink graph is the normal action potential. The blue one is the arrhythmias. Okay, in early after depolarization, what happens is, see, after depolarization means what is happening here is before an action potential will be get completed. Okay, completion means what? It's depolarization, plateau is there, and repolarization. After repolarization, it has to go to the resting phase. Okay, this is required. This resting phase is also important, very important. Okay, so that is normal up to resting phase. Phase 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this is normal. But in after depolarization condition, early after depolarization condition, what happens is when the uh, one action potential has generated, okay, when it is in the phase 3 only, between phase 3, okay, between phase 2 and phase 3 only, one more action potential will be generated. Okay, before completing the repolarization, the another potential will get generated. Okay, and then it follows. Okay, so this is called as early after depolarization. Means the potential generating after depolarization, not allowing the repolarization to take place, completing, not allowing the repolarization to complete. So that is called as after depolarization. If it is between phase 2 and 4, then it is phase 2 and 3, then it is called as early after depolarization. Okay, whereas in delayed after depolarization, here what happens is this is the normal one. Okay, but here the second action potential originates immediately after repolarization. Means there is no chance for the phase 4 only. There is no resting phase at all. Before it could completely end the repolarization, the action potential starts. The next action potential starts. So like that, continuously taking place is called as delayed after repolarization. Delayed after depolarization. Okay, understood? Early after depolarization means after depolarization only one more potential starting. Okay, that is early after depolarization. Delayed after depolarization means after repolarization, not completely ending, no chance for resting. Immediately, the one more potential, action potential starts. Okay, so this is the delayed after depolarization. And this kind of arrhythmias mechanism is called as triggered automaticity. Okay. Then the next one, that is the circus movement or re-entry. So re-entry or the circus movement. See, imagine there is some in any part of the heart there is a scarred area. Scarred area means it can be anything. It can be or a hole, some block or a hole or something. Okay, or repolarization. I mean, sorry, refractory period. Refractory means the period where it will not respond to any stimulus. Okay, so in that condition, what happens at that time? The current, that is the movement of the ions, the electric current, comes to this area. Okay, and on one side it moves well, and from the other side, normally what happens is, okay, once what happens is, this is the uh, re-entry circus movement. Okay, so usually what happens is, in normal conduction, it originates from the SA node, and it comes as a single impulse. So when there is a branch, it splits into two, the impulse splits into two, and they starts moving. And as the branch is there, they starts again, they split and they starts moving. But when it comes to facing each other, then it gets die down and follows the one path. It will follow one path. Okay, that is normally happening. But if there is any block, okay, anything, some disruption is there, okay, at that time what happens, it will come, it will break into two. Okay, and when it finds the block, okay, that time it stops. Okay, and whereas the other side one, it moves slow, it moves. Okay, and then uh, again it splits here. Okay, when it's after splitting it, when it comes, okay, when it comes here, at that time, and this place, it sees the area excited. Sometimes it sees the area is excited. Okay, it means excitable stage. So at that time, this impulse, the same impulse only, it 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 turns and it tries to move on to this block. Okay, and very slowly. So by the time it moves away from this, and this becomes away from the refractive, means this is free for the moment. So this impulse enters here, and it moves on. So like that, it comes, the same impulse, it moves continuously. Okay, so this is called as circus movement or re-entry movement. So these re-entrant arrhythmias are commonly seen in coronary atherosclerosis. Okay, so this is about the mechanism of cardiac arrhythmias. Now, okay, now we'll start with the anti-arrhythmic agents. Now, we all know now anti-arrhythmic agents means these are the drugs used to prevent or treat irregularities of the cardiac rhythm. Okay, irregularities of the cardiac rhythm, or these are the agent is specifically correct, means that point, that particular point, it corrects or it prevents the development of arrhythmias. Okay, now what are these agents? So these agents are mainly, it is classified into four types. One is the first one, sodium channel blockers, that is class 1, we call it as. Okay, sodium channel blockers, it is also called as membrane depressant drugs or membrane stabilizing agents. Class 2 is the beta receptor blockers or beta blockers. Class 3 is the potassium channel blockers, and class 4 is the calcium channel blockers. Okay, so these are the some of the classification of our anti-arrhythmic agents.